just would not do it.
He would not share that information with his
So do you
kids.
know what happened in his childhood that well, you said his father was also, you're better than that.
Right.
But that's not helpful.
Right, no. Versus, let me listen to you. Because sometimes it's just, I need somebody to listen to me.
Right.
Say my truth. I don't necessarily need you to solve it. For the people listening, children don't always need you to solve it, but they do need to be acknowledged and they do need to be heard. Please stop telling children and people how to feel. When a child says, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, this is what's going on with me. Oh, no, you're not. You're not tired. You're not sad. You're not depressed. What you mean?
Right.
They mean that's their truth.
Right.
That's what's going on. Something has told them they're less than, they're not enough. They need to be acknowledged. And that's important.
Yes, that's important. Wow. And that's hard to hear as adults, because we don't want our children, we don't want our students to have to, we don't think they know what those emotions are. And so, but what we're essentially doing is we're saying, you're not telling us the truth. You just heard that somewhere, and so you just automatically assume that's how you feel. So
but think about
validate
what
them.
that reinforces. If I come to you as a child and you're my mom, and I say, hey, mama, man, I'm feeling really sad today. I feel like killing myself. And your initial response is, girl, you ain't got that much to be worried about today. What you mean you at the point where you want to kill yourself? Back in the day, I would have been working 4 jobs and picking 2 bags of cotton and
Right.
holding down and doing all this, which I'm not negating the work that the people before me did for me to get to where I am.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, when a child comes to you and says, this is my truth, any part of I don't want to live because that's how bad it is, take it seriously.
Right.
You don't have to have the answers as a parent. I don't want parents to say, well, I don't have,
Because most of the time we don't.
the answers, so I can't do anything.
We can find the answers.
You find the answers. You make the phone call. You call the suicide hotline. You take them to the ER to get a psychological evaluation. You schedule them a session with the therapist.
But you don't sweep it under the rug.
Sweep it under the rug and pretend, because worst case scenario, God forbid, you're that parent that opens the door
and your child is there
and they're gone. Because that replays. Not that you can stop it. I'm not saying there's a magic button that parents can push and prevent a child from doing that, because once they get to that point, there's certain things that can't be done. But you will replay. Oh, when I saw them crying over there, it was something really going on. And to hear people tell me, I was crying in the presence of adults and caretakers for years, and nobody asked me what was going on. They said, oh, she emotional, she'll cry, or leave her alone.
She has a soft heart. She's soft-hearted. Yeah, that's what we hear with that. So we need to make sure that we are listening to not just children, adults. Listen to your friends. Listen to your family members. Listen to your significant others, whether it be girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, or wife. Because depression and sadness and suicide is not gender specific.
It's not.
It is reality. So that we need to make sure that we're not the person that has regrets because we didn't do what we needed to do.
Absolutely.
With that being said, you found him dead.
I did.
At 17.
17.
years of abuse,
Yes,
and you found it.
I found it.
How did that happen?
I remember it like it was yesterday. That mom and dad were in separate rooms. So he was on the other side of the house, and I needed the keys to go to church. I wanted to go to church. It's very important that morning. For some reason, I had to go to church. And mom was like, "Don't you forget to go ask your daddy if you can use the car.
Right.
Don't let him wake up and
Please don't let him wake up and that car be gone. Goodness."
And he need to use the car, and you going to church. So, okay, not thinking anything about it. I've had to do that for years. I go back there, and I'm calling his name as Daddy, Daddy, I need to use the keys. I'm late for church. I'm ready to go to church. He's not answering.
Which was odd.
Because there go the keys or whatever he said. And as I got close enough to see him, he wasn't moving. And I'm looking to see if he breathing. And I had to get close enough to touch him. But I remember putting my hand on his chest, and it was up, raised up, like that's when he gasped for his last breath. So it was up. So, and I touched his lip to see, and it was cold, and it was starting to turn purple, his bottom lip. And then I just start screaming for my mama, and she's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I'm like, "Daddy not moving, he not breathing." So she comes, my sister comes, and my sister, she's standing there screaming, just screaming, top of her lungs. And then we, of course, calling 911. I don't know how long my sister stayed there. She just screamed. And after the paramedics got there and the coroner got there, I just went and I sat on the couch. And I sat on the couch for hours. And I remember people coming in, "Sorry for your loss. I can't believe it. What happened?" I hear it as background noise.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there. And in my mind, because I'm still in shock inside, I just want to go to church. Like, why today?
Right, because I just wanted to go to church.
wanted to go to church.
Right.
So then my cousin, she says, "Dessa, look what you got on." Like, what? I look down, I had on a black dress, black heels, and a black and white scarf. She said, "You dressed for a funeral."
Wow.
And I just sit there. And that's why I sat for hours.
And just sat.
I just sat there because I just wanted to go to church.
And you couldn't.
And I couldn't go to church.
So there was no other
Miss Church.
No other emotion about him being deceased in the back bedroom. You just wanted to go to church.
Not that day. I was just numb.
Right.
Because he dead.
Right.
Like the person that held so much power in my life, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, that's my daddy.
Right.
And I couldn't go to church.
Right. So one other thing you can't do.
Right.
That you wanted to do.
Because that was my peace.
Right. So you felt like he took your peace that day and you just sat there.
Right. Out of all days for you to die.
On a Sunday.
I want to go to church.
I wanted to go to church. Wow. So did you, after you got up, hours later, what was the first thing you did? Do you recall?
I don't even remember.
So the day was just a blur because you could not go to church.
The day was a blur because I couldn't go to church. I remember my sister hollering for a long time. I don't know how long she just stood there and she didn't move. She just screaming. And then my mom, I remember my mom being in shock. And of course we had family members in and out,
right?
For several days and dropping off food and, doing the traditional things. as we're preparing for the funeral.
Right.
But that's a blur. Several days.
Wow. So did you, once it resonated with you, did you feel some type of relief that the abuse would now be over, for at least the physical abuse would be over?
I think it took quite a while for me to get to that point, because when my dad died, we were in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
He had stopped drinking 6 months, at least 6 months before he died. So I actually saw him get sober.
Okay.
He actually gave me money to go visit colleges and get some food the night before.
Okay.
So we were in a better place. So when I started to process what actually happened, it was like, wait a minute.
Why now?
I don't get to see the full good story of who he was. Is that what I'm left with?
Right. Wow.
And that's what I have to hold on to when I have those moments, that I got to see him sober.
Right.
During those 6 months, he wasn't abusive.
Because
He
for
wasn't screaming,
17
yelling.
years, 16 and a half years,
Right.
you saw abuse.
Right.
But at least you did get that glimpse,
Yes.
even if it were a short period of time.
Right.
But yeah, I think I would have been, that's all I get. Yeah. Wow. So you have had a lot
Right.
to go on in those first 17 years that directly affected the next several years, all of the years up to now.
Yes.
And when did you decide Survival by Grace needed to be written?
That's funny. I just talked about that the other day with somebody when we were talking about something getting planted, and then when you get the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
The seed for that book was planted in my mind at 17.
Wow.
It came to harvest when I was 39.
Wow.
So I worked on it periodically
Mm-hmm.
over the years, but then I would put it down because I wasn't ready to own that as my truth
Mm-hmm.
and share that truth with the world. So it was a process of me healing myself, of course, but then getting to the point where, do you really want me to share my story,
Right.
guys?
Do you really want people to know?
And what does that mean for me
Mm-hmm.
and my family?
Mm-hmm.
Because you would like to think that when you put that out there, that everyone's going to have great things to say, and oh, cheerio, kudos to you for telling your story.
You're so brave.
But that is not
Not the case.
That is not the case. That's not the truth, because then you open up a door where somebody else is going to read that book and say, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
what is my truth?
Mm-hmm.
What is my story?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to reveal, if for nothing else, to myself?
Mm-hmm. And I think that book does that. It does, at least it did for me. It lets you stop and think, she put this in writing for me to read, and I'm still hiding what I have in me. If she can do it, I can do it. And I can release those inner demons or skeletons, because we all have things hidden in our closets, whether it's abuse or just anger for maybe one incident that happened. Maybe our story is not as horrific, graphic, or, for lack of a better adjective to describe, but if it hurt us, it's still our truth. It's still our reality.
Absolutely.
And so I would want people to read this book just for that reason, to find what their truth is. Whether that is, I need to love myself more, or I need to maybe apologize to someone, or I don't know, become a better person by doing something, releasing something that's out there so that I can live. Because now you're living your life in full color out loud. And so every time I see that, I think of you. And I feel like you went through all of this for me, for whoever else picks, and I said I was not.
I see it coming. I'm trying to look directly.
I said I was not. But we have to figure out what our truth is and deal with it. And so I feel like this was an eye-opener for me to say, okay, yeah, I went through those things, but damn it, I can get over those things. And that old saying of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, whoever said that should be shot, but it's, you know, it does make you stronger, because look at you today, you know, amazing mother, counselor, we're Herbalife coaches, we work out, we live. You're living. Imagine if you had not changed the narrative. Imagine how many people out there today that didn't change their narrative, and they are now miserable people. Right. And, you know, not to say either one of us are where we should be in life, but my God, look at how far you came with where you've been through, of what you've been through. I just want to personally say, I love you. I love you. And I appreciate this, as I have YouTube, Facebook. I said, this is what I was not going to do. But sometimes we have to be transparent.
We do.
And through our transparency, reach back and help somebody else. And so if your book, it helped me, so your job is done. I don't care about the rest of the people. But if it can help somebody else get through the pain of child abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, the mental abuse that happened, and to come out on the other side saved, business owner, mother, success, then we counted all good.
We did.
We counted all good for the fact that God is good.
He is.
And that's all I got to say about it. That's all. Facebook, YouTube, this was unscripted. We had a conversation before.
We did.
That was quite different from this conversation. Right. Did not touch on all of the aspects in this book. There's a lot more. I'm going to let you tell our listeners how they can get their copy of this particular book.
Yes. You can get your copy of the book at that's Odessa.com. That is an all-inclusive website where you can schedule mental health therapy, Herbalife wellness coaching, speaking engagements, purchase one of the 2 books, and just call me for a free consultation to see if there's any type of anything that I can help you with, because I know once you have whole body wellness, meaning your mental health, spiritual health, nutrition, physical health, when everything is intact, that's when you are bringing the best you to life, which is also my tag on my website, bringing the best you to life. But you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to suffer alone. If I don't have the questions, I am a part of a wonderful network of therapists, business owners, other coaches, and we're going to get you the help you need, and we're going to answer the questions. And then it's also available on Amazon.com. And
Now,
that's Old Survival by Grace.
You said a second book. What is your second book? Did you happen to bring that one?
The second book I have is a devotional, 90-day devotional dealing with grief and loss. And it's called Finding Joy in the Journey. We are international bestsellers on that list. For this book, I actually have one of the devotions in here. Wonderful collaboration. So if you know anybody who's suffering with grief and loss, it's a great deal of that going on. Also, this is definitely a must read. Just pick one each day, just as an inspiration and encouragement to help you deal with grief and loss. This one is available on my website for autographed copies about me. It's on Amazon, but it won't be a purchase through me. So this one is Odessa.com. And then Old Survival by Grace. And I do have a bundle deal for $25 right now with free shipping for both.
All right, YouTube, Facebook, we have, we've dealt with a lot. We've discussed a lot today. And with that, please reach out to my friend. Seek the help that you need. With that, confidentially, of course, and live your best life in color and out loud. As Odessa always says, that is what I think of. I so want to steal it, but I know where I got it from. Living in color and living out loud. And we need to live our best life. And if you need to seek counseling services, please do that. We want to live our best life in 2021 and the years to come so that we can leave a legacy for our children to be proud of. And there's no shame in seeking counseling.
Absolutely.
The shame is suffering in silence. And so we definitely don't want to do that. So please share this YouTube video with your friends, family, colleagues, so that they can share that with someone who possibly could use the help, because our friends deserve that. Our family deserves that. If we can save one from suicidal thoughts or tendencies and self-harm behavior, then that's what we need to do. And speaking with Odessa in a counseling session may be a start to that. There are no quick fixes.
There are not.
And
I do
so
not have a magic wand.
She does not have a magic wand.
It's not available.
So this is a process.
Absolutely.
And your process will not look like her process, will not look like my process. Her journey definitely doesn't look like my journey. And I wouldn't have wanted her journey.
Right. And
so,
I'm not trying to loan my journey out.
And right. But your journey was your journey. It is your journey. Own it, learn from it, and live from it. We need to just live our lives in color out loud. I thank you for joining us. Have a great evening. This is the end of having a conversation with Crystal, and I thank all of you for listening. Please stay tuned for future podcasts, and tell a friend, tell a neighbor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share this with everyone. We are trying to just have conversations that everyday people want to hear. God bless.